This is like take 6. If this fails at some point, I'm sorry, you're stuck with this video. I'm very burnout and exhausted. It's been a long day, but it's been a blessed day, but it's been a long day. So I've attempted this video like 6 times and I just keep failing miserably. So what you get, bloopers and all, this is it. So I want to welcome you back to the Letting Go series. This episode that I'm going to discuss today, it's called Early Signs and guess what? Red flags. You know, them red flags that just wave in your face and you're like, I could go around it, or nothing's gonna happen, or it's just a momentary thing. Those red flags. So I'm pretty sure many of you have like gone to the beach at some point or another and you've seen red flags sectioned off, right, to one side, and it's like danger, you're not allowed to swim. If you swim, you could get penalized, or you could get a monetary fine, or you could get arrested or whatever. And it's usually because in that section of the beach or the ocean or whatever, it's a part that's filled with like rip currents, and if you go, the chances of you getting taken away or you drowning are like high, right? Like you can possibly die or get severely injured or whatever it may be. So you're cautioned with those red flags to not go there. So how many times have we not encountered any type of relationship with anybody where we have been able to see a person's red flags? And red flags can vary, right, from person to person. My definition of a red flag could be different than your definition of a red flag. What are things that bother you, or that you don't agree with, or that go against your morals and your values, right? Everybody has their own set of morals and their own set of values. Some are common, some can be unique to each person or each situation. Sorry. And it's a blooper and all, you're getting stuck with this video. Definitely swallowed saliva through the wrong pipe. El galillo viejo, like they say in Spanish. So, point is, red flags. How do you determine that a person has a red flag? How do you distinguish if a person has a red flag? What do you do when you're able to see that red flag, right? How should you proceed? How should you handle that? And so, for me, I'll give you an example, right? In my last relationship, when I was getting to know the person, like in the very beginning of the relationship, it was the first time like I encountered that this person was like feeling frustrated and was feeling moody. It was late at night. I had called him and I wanted to know like what was going on. You know, I'm the type of person that I'm genuine, and it's like if I care about you, or if I love you, or if you're in my path, could be anybody. It doesn't even have to be like a romantic relationship. Just I'm the type of person, I'm gonna care, right? And I'm gonna want to know what's going on, to 1, let you vent, 2, hear you out, 3, see if I can help you with anything, right? Ease your stress, ease your burden if possible. And so this person was feeling a bit frustrated, and I tried to like talk to them and see what was going on, but they really didn't want to open up and tell me anything at all at that moment. They didn't want to speak to me. They didn't want to like loop me in or fill me in. And you know, me being the person that I am, yes, I insisted. And maybe that was wrong, right? Because I didn't respect his boundaries or his limitations, but my intentions weren't malicious. I was just concerned, and I just wanted to know like what exactly was going on. So with that, you know, the person came back with an attitude, and he was very nasty. I'm gonna say it for what it is, right? And then he proceeded to tell me, you know, that his finances aren't where he wanted it to be. He wasn't content, he was struggling, and I get that. You know, we're all going through something in some type of shape or form, And he proceeded to say like all the other stuff that was like frustrating him and whatnot. And he was just so very like dismissive and aggressive and like frustrated. And it brought me down because I was already like going through my own stuff. Like if you've seen my other videos, you would see that this was all like in the beginning, right after everything else I was going through or was still living at that time. So like I already explained in the mental video, like the mental state, like my mental was not that great. And so having somebody that I care for and I'm like starting to think that I love, or I'm looking to build something with, like having them talk to me that way really affected me, especially because I'm the sensitive type of person, right? Like, so it affected me and it made me feel like worse about myself. It made me feel worse about the situation. And I was just like, what the heck? Like, you know, like everybody around me is treating me a certain way. Everybody around me is acting with me a certain way. I was already going through my problems here at home, with my family, at work. And it was just like my breaking point, you know? And so I ended up going to bad habits, which I don't really ever often do, but that was one of my dark nights. And I drank. And it was bad. And I shouldn't have, but I just wanted to like forget everything for that moment. Like many of us, I'm pretty sure do, right? Kudos to you if you don't. Everybody has their own way of getting away from stuff, and I always talk and preach about not doing that, but that night was just not one of those nights. And so I ended up drinking myself to a point where like I just wanted to seize existence. And like this is this is me being very vulnerable right now with you, right? Because who likes to admit that? And I ended up calling that same person back at like 2, 3 in the morning when I was totally wasted and gone, and like talking negatively and stuff about like my life and everything that was going on. And I think he got scared and he tried to calm me down. And you know, the next day, like I felt humiliated and embarrassed. And like instead of realizing like, hey, right, like the red flags in that situation for me should have been the fact that this person doesn't know how to communicate when he's going through emotions and he's frustrated, and that's something that goes against me like as a person. So that's like the first red flag, right? Should have been the first red flag. Then the fact that like he was aggressive, the fact that he was dismissive, the fact that he didn't want to speak about finances. And I'm the type of person that finances are something that I feel shouldn't be secretive, shouldn't be personal, right? Like if you're going through something and if we're possibly contemplating the fact of being together, or we're already together and we're looking to build a relationship or go forward, like that's something that we should be able to freely discuss, you know, at some point or another. And it's like, it doesn't have to be all in details in the beginning. Like you can talk about that later on, but that's something that's important, at least on my end, you know. Like I said, everybody has their own set of rules and standards and like checklists that they're looking for, and that was mine for me. And so all of those things should have been enough for me to be like, you know what, like maybe I need to take a step back now. Like maybe these are things that are going to continue to happen, but me being the way that I am, and I'm pretty sure I can't be the only one, I was like, I'll continue and I'll wait. And maybe it was just a spare of the moment, or maybe he was just really having a bad day, and I justified the behavior and the outlash, and I excused it. And so I continued to proceed with the person. But had I really taken heed of what was going on at that moment, I probably could have avoided, you know, the stuff that came after. Like a lot of stuff, you know, because that was just the beginning and it was very early on, and that was what it was gonna be throughout the rest of the relationship, if not worse, you know, if not more complicated. And so red flags are important, you know, when you're looking to be with somebody, when you're getting to know somebody, even in the beginning stage. Look at those red flags, because they only get worse. And if they're already showing in the beginning, what else is there that's gonna come out eventually? What else is there that you don't know yet, you know? And the thing is, okay, granted, we can all have red flags. We can all have our traumas. We could all have our issues, our dilemmas, our bad habits, things that we're trying to work on within ourselves, things that we're trying to surpass and overcome. There can be different things going on in our lives, you know, situations and stuff. But if you see that somebody is not willing to admit that they're wrong, or recognize their red flag, or apologize. Apology is a big thing. They can apologize or recognize how they're making you feel or validate your feelings based off of their behavior, you know, or validating your reactions. That's a clear sign that it's not going to go nowhere good. So pay attention, like really pay attention to the red flags and those early signs. There were so many. And I just kept putting them off one by one. And I remember talking to my friend at work, my coworker. She was my coworker, my friend, both, you know. And I would tell her like things that were going on. She's like, Melissa, like, the red flags are there. And I was just like, no, you know, but this and but that. And like you try to find ways to work around those red flags because maybe there's other qualities that you're trying to balance it out with, you know, or like, yeah, but he does this like this, or he does this like that, and it's not like, you know, it's not always happening. Those red flags, they're not always a constant thing. But when you do that, it's like you're justifying them and you're hoping that you can work around them, but it never works out that way. And I'm not only talking based on this one experience, I'm talking about like a lot. And it's not just, like I said, in romantic relationships. It could be with family members, it could be with friends, whoever it is. So it's important to see and pay attention. And red flags, like I said, could appear in any type of shape or form. But the thing is that if the person's not willing to discuss them, if they're not willing to work on them, if they're not willing to change them, or, you know, to find a middle ground or a balance, like, you're setting yourself up for failure. And the truth is, the sooner you pay attention to them and the sooner you act upon them, the more you spare yourself. Because the longer you stay in a relationship, the harder it is to walk away. The longer you wait to take action, it's the more that it's gonna hurt you and you're gonna suffer, because you're gonna invest so much more with time and so many more feelings with time that it's gonna make it a lot more hurtful and disappointing to want to walk away. And so that kind of is what reels you in and keeps you and makes you keep going and fighting and thinking that you can spare it and save it, and it doesn't work that way. So if you go to mothersworld.com, I did copy from a website, and I referenced the website as well. I copied like a chart illustrating different types of red flags that you can see, you know, and how it affects you and how it progresses throughout the relationship and it changes you throughout the relationship. So feel free to check that out. I'll leave my link to my website below. If you want, subscribe, comment, and like let me know what you think. Or if you want to vent, you can vent. If you go to my website, you can communicate with me one-on-one, and I can, like, you know, hear you out, give you advice if you want. I'm not a certified psychologist, but I have experience and I have my testimony, and I can help you based off of that, you know. But I'm here for whatever it is. Thank you for watching this video. I appreciate you, and I wish you guys the best.